Have you ever imagined a place where unwinding means bathing with strangers, where history seeps through thermal waters, and where you can play chess while soaking in a 100-year-old pool? Welcome to Hungary, a country where people don't just bathe, they bond. From the legendary bathhouses of Budapest to quirky traditions and paprika-infused delights, life in Hungary is anything but ordinary. So why do Hungarians love bathing together? And what's it really like to live in a place where every soak is a social event? Let's dive in and explore the fascinating quirks of life in this unique country. Let's kick things off with Hungary's piece de resistance, its bathhouse culture. Imagine stepping into a majestic building, its walls adorned with mosaic tiles, and in front of you pools of warm, steaming water stretching out like an ancient Roman dream. This isn't just any water, folks. This is the mineral-rich healing kind that comes straight from Hungary's numerous thermal springs. The country boasts over 1,000 hot springs, and more than 100 of these are right in Budapest, earning it the nickname City of Spas. In Hungary, public baths are more than just a way to clean up. They're a social affair. Think of it as a local bar, but with less beer and more bath salts. You can strike up a conversation with anyone in the pool, young or old, man or woman. Don't be surprised if an elderly Hungarian man starts discussing the finer points of paprika while you're soaking in 40 Celsius water. It's all part of the charm. And let's face it, when you're practically marinating together, small talk comes easy. To understand why Hungarians are so fond of their communal bathing, we need a quick dip into history. Picture this. It's the 16th century, the Ottoman Turks have just conquered Buda, and suddenly, thermal baths spring up everywhere. The Turks might have left after a century, but the bath culture stayed. Fast forward to today, and these bathhouses aren't just relics of the past, they're still pumping, with locals and tourists alike filling the pools. Take the Széchenyi thermal bath, for example. Built in 1913, it's one of Europe's largest medicinal baths. Here you'll see old men playing chess on floating boards in the steaming outdoor pools, proving that the only thing hotter than the water in Budapest is their competitive spirit. And the architecture? It's like bathing inside a royal palace. You almost expect to see a Hungarian king waiting by, robe flowing, ready to join a game of poolside chess. Okay, enough about baths. For starters, living in Hungary is surprisingly affordable. In Budapest, the cost of living is around $800 a month, making it a magnet for digital nomads, expats, and budget travelers. Renting a one-bedroom apartment in the city center might set you back about $500, which is a steal compared to Western Europe. And if you're outside Budapest, prepare for prices that will make you do a double take. For about $300, you could be living in a quaint little Hungarian village surrounded by nature and maybe a neighbor named János who brews his own palinka, a potent Hungarian fruit brandy that will knock your socks off faster than you can say Egész Szegedre. That's cheers, by the way. Groceries are another wallet-friendly surprise. You can eat like a king, or perhaps more fittingly, like a Hungarian noble, for about $150 to $200 a month. And if you're a fan of hearty, stick-to-your-ribs kind of food, you're in luck. We're talking goulash, langos, a deep-fried flatbread often slathered in garlic butter and cheese, and chimney cakes that will have you questioning every diet plan you've ever attempted. Now let's talk about the Hungarians themselves. The people of Hungary are an interesting bunch, friendly but with a pinch of aloofness that makes them intriguing. They have a sense of humor that's drier than the great Hungarian plain, and they love a good debate, especially over a bottle of that aforementioned palinka. Hungarians are also fiercely proud of their history and language. And speaking of the language, Hungarian or Magyar isn't just any old language, it's like the final boss of European languages. It doesn't resemble anything you've ever heard, except maybe a cat walking across a keyboard. But don't worry, a few well-placed kozanoms, thank you, will earn you some smiles and nods. Here are some nuggets of knowledge to keep in your back pocket at your next trivia night. Did you know that Hungary invented the Rubik's Cube? That's right, this brain-twisting puzzle was created by Erno Rubik, a Hungarian architect in 1974. And speaking of inventions, Hungarians also gave the world the ballpoint pen, vitamin C, and the noiseless match. If you think about it, life without Hungary would be a lot more boring, and potentially less healthy. Oh, and here's a quirky law to tickle your fancy. It is illegal to name your child Coca-Cola in Hungary. The government has a strict list of approved names, so if you were thinking of naming your kid after your favorite soft drink, you'll have to stick to something more traditional like Gabor or Erzsébet. When it comes to transportation, Hungary's got you covered. Budapest's public transportation system is not only extensive but also incredibly affordable. A monthly pass costs around $30 and it gives you access to trams, buses, and the metro. And here's a fun fact. The Budapest Metro is the second oldest in the world after London. So when you're zipping through the city underground, you're basically traveling through history. But if you want to see the real Hungary, get on a bike and explore the countryside. Hungary is crisscrossed with bike paths that will take you through vineyards, ancient castles, and rolling hills that look like they were ripped straight from a painting. Plus, biking is a great way to work off all that langos and goulash you'll inevitably consume. While you've probably heard of Hungary's famous goulash, a rich stew that's more like a hearty soup packed with beef, potatoes, and of course, paprika, Hungarian cuisine goes way beyond this iconic dish. Imagine waking up to a breakfast of langos, that deep-fried dough that's often topped with sour cream and cheese. If you think donuts for breakfast are indulgent, think again. In Hungary, fried bread is just the beginning. For lunch, you might dive into a steaming bowl of halazel or fisherman's soup, a fiery concoction made with fresh river fish and an obscene amount of paprika. This dish has a heat level that'll wake you up faster than any espresso shot. Then there's hortobagi palacinta, a savory pancake stuffed with meat, doused in a creamy paprika sauce. You'll be rolling home faster than you can say toltat kaposta, which by the way is a cabbage roll filled with a mix of pork, rice, and herbs. Don't worry, the cabbage isn't just for show. It's there to remind you that you've made a healthy choice, right? Oh, and if you have a sweet tooth, let's not forget the desserts. Hungary is home to some of the most mouth-watering pastries and cakes like Dobos tort, a multi-layered sponge cake with chocolate buttercream and a caramel topping so addictive, it's practically a controlled substance. And if you ever hear someone whisper kurtoskalax, chimney cake, follow them immediately. It's a sweet spiral dough roasted over an open fire coated in cinnamon sugar. One bite and you'll be sold on this carb-loaded heaven. You might not immediately think of Hungary as a party destination, but trust me, these folks know how to throw a bash. Hungary has festivals for almost everything. Wine, music, food, art, you name it. Want to dance the night away with a glass of Tokaji wine in one hand and a roast sausage in the other? Head to the Budapest Wine Festival held annually at Buda Castle. It's a feast for the senses, and by the end of the night you'll be convinced that every good party should involve a castle backdrop. Then there's Sziget Festival, one of Europe's biggest music festivals, which takes place on an island in the middle of the Danube. It's like Coachella, but with fewer flower crowns and more paprika-infused snacks. Over 1 million people from around the globe descend on Budapest for this week-long celebration of music, arts, and freedom. Imagine getting lost in a sea of people while your favorite band plays, only to stumble into a Hungarian folk dance circle. Trust me, it's a vibe. And let's not forget Busaharas, a carnival that happens every February in the town of Mohacs. Picture hundreds of people dressed as horned, fur-covered monsters called busos, marching through the streets to chase away winter. It's a mix between Halloween and Mardi Gras, but with more sheepskins and homemade wine. You'll either be terrified or utterly amused, or both. When living in Hungary, you might notice some odd behavior, like, why do Hungarians never clink their beer glasses? Legend has it that when the Austrian generals celebrated their victory over the Hungarians in the 1848 revolution, they did so by clinking their beer glasses. As a result, Hungarians vowed not to clink glasses with beer for 150 years. The tradition has stuck around, and while some younger Hungarians might roll their eyes at it, you'll rarely see anyone breaking this taboo. When in doubt, just raise your glass and say Ega Szegedre without the clink. Another quirky Hungarian habit involves salt. If you accidentally spill salt at the table, you're expected to throw a pinch over your left shoulder to ward off bad luck. Some say it's to blind the devil, who apparently has nothing better to do than lurk behind you at dinner. So if you're dining with a Hungarian, be prepared for some unexpected shoulder action. And if you're planning to gift flowers to someone, make sure it's an odd number, unless you're attending a funeral. Even numbers are considered bad luck. Also, stay away from chrysanthemums. They're exclusively used for graves and mourning. So unless you want your romantic gesture to end up in a Hungarian version of How Not to Impress, stick to roses or tulips. Hungary is a country where architecture tells stories. Walk around Budapest and you'll see a blend of Baroque, neoclassical, Art Nouveau, and modernist styles that somehow coexist in a strange yet harmonious way. The Parliament building, with its stunning Gothic Revival architecture, sits right on the banks of the Danube, and it's so majestic that it looks like it could house 1,000 wizards plotting their next grand spell. Then there's the Fisherman's Bastion, which looks like something straight out of a fairy tale, complete with towers and turrets that could easily host a damsel in distress, or better yet, a modern Instagram influencer. The Buda Castle, which dates back to the 13th century, offers panoramic views of the city and the river that divides it. Stroll across the chain bridge, and you're walking on history, quite literally. Every stone in Budapest seems to whisper secrets from the past. And let's not forget the quirky modern architecture. Take the House of Terror Museum, which is not only a museum about the brutal regimes of the 20th century, but also an architectural statement. It's eerie, it's dramatic, and it's utterly captivating. It will make you feel like you've stepped into a film noir scene, one where you might just solve a mystery or two. We've talked about Palinka, a potent fruit brandy that comes in flavors ranging from plum to apricot and is guaranteed to put hair on your chest. But there's so much more to Hungary's drinking culture. Hungarians take their wine seriously. After all, the country is home to 22 wine regions, and each one is more enchanting than the last. Ever heard of Tokaji, dubbed the wine of kings and the king of wines? It's a sweet white wine that has been cherished by royalty across Europe for centuries. And yes, it is the perfect accompaniment to a chimney cake, or maybe a second chimney cake. No judgment here. If wine isn't your thing, there's Unicum, a herbal liqueur that's as polarizing as it is strong. It's an acquired taste, but once acquired, you'll find it oddly comforting. Imagine drinking something that tastes like a blend of Christmas spices and a dash of old-world medicine. Something that warms you up from the inside out. It's a bit like the Hungarian people themselves. Complex, layered, and best enjoyed slowly. Hungary isn't just about baths and booze. The country is also a playground for outdoor enthusiasts. In Budapest, Margaret Island is a green oasis where locals go to jog, cycle, or simply relax with a book. But if you're craving a real adventure, head to the mountains. Yes, Hungary has mountains. The Buk and Matra ranges in the northern part of the country offer hiking trails that range from easy strolls to more challenging climbs, with stunning views to reward your efforts. And let's not overlook Lake Balaton, Central Europe's largest lake. Known as the Hungarian Sea, it's a popular spot for sailing, fishing, and sunbathing. During the summer, it transforms into a hub of activity with beachside bars, music festivals, and enough langos to feed a small nation. But if you're visiting in the winter, Lake Balaton turns into a frozen wonderland where you can ice skate with a backdrop of snow-covered hills. So whether you're a summer lover or a winter warrior, Hungary's got you covered. Beyond the Rubik's Cube and the ballpoint pen, Hungary's influence on the world extends into the realms of science, technology, and culture. Take the world of cinema, for example. Ever watched a movie directed by Michael Curtis? He was the Hungarian mastermind behind Casablanca, one of the most iconic films in Hollywood history. And if you're a fan of science fiction, you owe a nod to Laszlo Biro, whose ballpoint pen helped future writers scribble down their cosmic imaginings. So if you're looking for a place that offers more than just beautiful landscapes and historical sites, if you're searching for a country with depth, character, and a touch of mystery, then Hungary might just be the destination you've been dreaming of. It's a place where every corner tells a story, where every meal is an event, and where every soak in a thermal bath leaves you feeling like royalty. It's a country that invites you to slow down, take a deep breath, and dive into the unknown. In Hungary, life isn't just lived, it's savored. Whether you're bathing with strangers, sipping on Tokaji wine, or simply strolling along the Danube as the city lights sparkle like stars reflected in the water, Hungary is a country that welcomes you with open arms. And maybe a shot of Palinka just to seal the deal. So what are you waiting for? Grab your towel, your appetite, and your sense of adventure, and come experience the magic of Hungary for yourself. And remember, if you're ever in doubt, just follow the smell of paprika. It'll lead you somewhere amazing.